So today I thought we'd talk about that angel. You know the one I mean, that fallen angel. Apparently Lucifer. But why Lucifer? Why not Jupiter or Kronos? I mean, Lucifer was such a minor deity. So in this episode, we'll dig in, explore, and we'll find out. So let's start with just exactly who was Lucifer. So Lucifer, a very minor Roman deity, and in fact, he wasn't a deity at all. He was more of a harbinger of the light, and hence his other name, the light bearer. And he was manifest in the morning sky as the planet Venus. And so to the Romans, he was that star they saw in the early morning light, the morning star that heralded the light that brought in the dawn of a new day, the same star that today we know as the planet Venus. And the word Lucifer is Latin, and it's derived from the two words lux and ferere, meaning lux meaning light and ferere meaning to bear. He wasn't venerated in any particular way by the Romans. He was simply one of the attendants of the dawn goddess Aurora, and his appearance in the morning sky just simply signified the imminent coming of the oncoming light and the dawn of a new day. There was nothing evil about Lucifer. It's not like they sacrificed chickens at sundown and held big orgies in order to appease the oncoming appearance of the morning star. Actually, I think we all know that orgies wouldn't have been something that was unusual for the Romans, but they didn't specifically have orgies just to honour the morning star, or kill chickens either. So if there was nothing evil about this personification of the morning star, then why is it today that we have this idea that Lucifer was the name of the angel that was thrown out of heaven and cast down to earth to take on his role as the devil and Satan? And to understand this, we need to look back into the Old Testament, Isaiah 14:12, I believe. And in this passage, Isaiah mocks and taunts the king of Babylon. He compares this once great king to the morning star. And he says that this star once shone so bright and was so powerful and so beautiful, but then with the incoming light, it dwindles and fades and falls. So in effect, what this passage is actually doing is mocking the fall of a once great king of Babylon, and he's comparing this king's rise and fall to the morning star, great in its ascendance, but soon snuffed out and dwindled by the light of the dawn. So nothing to do with Satan and nothing to do with fallen angels. However, this association of the morning star with a great rise and ultimately the downfall doesn't get lost in further interpretations. But take note here, the name Lucifer was never used at this point. The term used was Helel ben Shachar, which literally translates from the Hebrew quite simply as son of the dawn. So the first mention we have of Lucifer is in the 4th century, when the Bible was commissioned to be translated into Latin. And that section of the Old Testament, Isaiah 14:12, obviously also converted into Latin, and the morning star takes on the name of the Roman or the Latin name, which, as we already know, is Lucifer. But again, still no devils, Satan, or fallen angels. This association comes later with the translation and reinterpretation of the early Christian fathers, whose teachings and sermons began associating certain parts of the New Testament with that of Isaiah 14:12. They started to look at this passage, Isaiah 14:12, not so much as a taunt and a mocking of the Babylonian king, but more of a passage with a metaphorical meaning. And what they read into this was that this passage was more about the morning star symbolizing the rise of pride and tyranny, and ultimately its downfall. And they put this together with other passages from the New Testament, such as Luke 10:18. And there's a reference here that says that they saw Satan falling from the sky, cast out of heaven, and fell to the earth like a lightning bolt. And then there's Revelation 12:9 that tells us how the dragon, representative of the great serpent and Satan himself, was cast out of heaven down to earth, and his angels with him. So, putting all this together, the morning star, translated to Lucifer in the Latin edition, or the first Latin edition of the Bible, represented the rise and downfall of pride and tyranny. So then, it's not a huge leap for people to reinterpret this passage and see it as actually being symbolic of the rise and rebellion of Satan, and how he, once proud angel, was cast out of heaven down to earth. And so the morning star, with its rise and fall, became a metaphor for this angel that fell from heaven down to earth. And so in common interpretation, Lucifer was the name of the angel before he was cast out of heaven and down to the earth to take on his role as Satan. And so, I hope you've all enjoyed today's discussion, and if you have, don't forget to give us that thumbs up and subscribe to the channel if you're not already. And with that, I'll see you all again very soon on the next one.